Welcome back to another episode of Tea After Midnight. Just a little series where we have some tea to keep it nice and classy, but I also tell you scary stories. Tonight's story is going to be a little bit different because it actually comes from somebody who I'm collaborating with. Her name is Riley, and she is the host of Ghosts in the Garden. I sent one of my stories to Riley, and she read it over on her page, and tonight I get the pleasure of reading her story here on Tea After Midnight. So grab your favorite tea and settle in, and let me tell you another scary story, because of course, this is Tea After Midnight. This story comes from Riley. When I was a teenager, I fell in love with everything paranormal. My dream became to be a professional paranormal investigator. I now work IT, but a girl can dream. I was so committed, I convinced my mom to drive out of state to an event to meet the Ghost Adventures crew, and I'll include a photo. This story starts in Texas when I was 14. My best friend Sammy was equally as interested in ghosts as I was. So when we heard a rumor that a man down the street had passed away in a traumatic way, we were instantly interested. The house was vacant and had been vacant for only a week since the man's passing. She was at my house after school one afternoon, so we headed down the street to the house. The house was a normal suburban house with a tall iron fence around it, matching all the fences in our subdivision. We checked to be sure no one was watching and quickly slipped through the gate, latching it behind us to not raise suspicion. Walking up to the house, we both felt an eerie feeling as if we were being watched, but chalked this up to nerves about being somewhere we shouldn't be. Fueled by all the ghost hunting shows I watched, I marched right up to the house and announced, "If anyone is here and doesn't want us to be, give us a sign." It was cheesy, but hey, I was 14. A silence followed, and a few seconds later we heard a creak. Sammy turned and gasped as the iron gate swung open, stopping perfectly at 90 degrees. Knowing we'd latched it before walking up, she ran as fast as she could out of the gate, begging me to follow. I stood there stunned that something had actually happened. And of course, I didn't leave. I kept poking around and trying to get another reaction, but nothing else happened. This was only the beginning. That night, laying in bed reading, I had completely forgotten about this. I set my book down, turned out the light, and as I started to get comfortable in bed, I heard the bushes outside my window moving. It sounded like someone was stepping into them from the front sidewalk. I got very still, fearing that someone was trying to break into my room. The bushes suddenly stopped, and I heard a very clear tap, tap, tap on the inside, like someone knocking to get my attention. I was frozen in fear, listening for the person to walk away, but the bushes never rustled again. After a few minutes, I was starting to relax, assuming I'd just made it up in my mind, when I heard someone breathing. It was heavy, ragged breaths right next to my bed. I panicked, flipped my lamp back on, assuming an intruder had gotten in, only to see nothing. My room was completely untouched. Then I remembered what happened earlier that day. I think this was the moment I realized I may have aggravated a spirit into following me back to my house. This isn't where the story ends. The breathing continued every night for a couple of weeks until we abruptly moved to Utah. I was so excited to get away from whatever I brought home and start a new chapter in life. A couple of weeks passed as we settled in. I got the teenager's dream room in our finished basement while my family had all their rooms on the second floor. I could stay up as late as I wanted without my parents knowing. Every night I sat on the couch outside my room to chat with Danny on the phone, as my room had no cell signal. After a few weeks of this nightly ritual, I started to feel weird. The hair on my neck would stand up and I'd feel as if someone was watching me while chatting on the phone. And every time I looked around the basement, no one was there. I brushed it off again as my nerves, considering I was down in the basement alone. One morning, my alarm had went off for school, and I had turned on my light to start waking up. My door started shaking on its hinges as if someone was holding the handle on the other side and pulling it back and forth as hard as they could. I jumped, then was immediately irritated that my little brother would try to scare me. I hopped out of bed, marched to the door, and flung it open, ready to berate him, but no one was there. Not outside my door, and not anywhere in the open basement. I stood there trying to figure out how he'd gotten away without me seeing him. Puzzled, I continued my morning routine and forgot about this. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I finally realized I hadn't escaped the spirit. I opened my bedroom door to turn off the basement lights and get some rest when I saw my shadow cast in a strange way across the room. It was cast standing straight up, but I couldn't piece together how the light was working to make it. Then it started walking. I stood perplexed as it walked across the wall, then disappeared right before it got to the corner. I looked down and saw my shadow was at my feet, cast by the light above me. I slammed my door and dove into bed, too scared to turn out the lights. Once a week, every morning, my door would shake violently. No one was ever on the other side. I saw shadows moving when I was still, and I heard a voice of a man outside my room in the hallway constantly. Everything kept escalating more and more until one day it stopped. Not a single strange feeling, no voices, and no shadows. The silence almost scared me more, but the silence continued for months. Sammy came to visit one fall, and we were thrilled to be reunited after almost a year apart. I had one more day of school before break, and my mom took my brother and me to school. This part was told to me by Sammy when I got home. She was in my bathroom in the basement getting ready when she heard someone pounding on the door. She opened it, assuming my mom needed something urgent, to find no one standing there. Not only that, but no one was home at all. To this day, this was the final encounter of this spirit. I don't know where he went or why he stuck around so long just to suddenly disappear. And I don't know why Sammy was the last one to hear from him. I hope he's at peace, and I'm thankful for the peace myself. If anyone has any insight, I'd love to hear it. Well, Riley, I can definitely agree with you on the growing up with the paranormal investigator shows and watching those. I still love watching those, and I still love going on ghost hunts to this day. But I definitely think that day that you went over to that man's house, I really feel like you brought something home with you. Now, I do want to say I'm very thankful that it didn't physically hurt you in any way, but mentally, I mean, I would have been terrified, especially as a 14-year-old, to experience something like that. That's terrifying. The creepiest part about your story, girl, I want to say, is when you're standing there, you see your shadow on the wall, but then it starts moving and you're not moving. That gives me chills. That freaks me out so bad. But I am so glad that you're not experiencing anything anymore. I love that for you. So maybe he did just move on, and I do hope he's at peace as well, like you said. And I'm glad that you have peace yourself. But Riley, thank you so much for collaborating with me. This was truly so fun. I've loved getting to know you. And guys, if you are watching this, if you don't know who Riley is, who hosts Ghosts in the Garden, this is her page right here. Go check her out. You guys will love her energy, love her stories. She is so sweet, and I'm so thankful that I've gotten to meet her. I do want to say that hopefully one day we can get together and do an actual episode in person together, but there's about an 11-hour drive between us, so hopefully one day soon we can do that for you guys. But if you would, just go over there, show her a lot of love, give her a follow. You guys will love her content just as much as I do. And to you guys, I do want to say I'm so sorry for the little break I took. I had a head cold and I was fighting for my life, but we are good now. I still have a little bit of congestion, but we're pretty much over it, so I'm so glad to be back. But that does conclude this episode of Tea After Midnight. If you have any personal scary stories you want to share, I would love to read them. You can email me at the email on the screen or the email in the caption of this video. But as always, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have the best night. I love you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.